Hi, I'm Mary Gunn. Welcome to Fun University. Hello, I'm Mary Gunn. I'm Mary Gunn Fun, founder and head professor of Fun University, welcoming you to the Fundamentals class, Intro to Mixed Media. Oh, the mystical mixed media. Yes, we're going to take it apart just a little bit and start getting it so that you can have a pretty easy understanding of you look at them, they look so complicated, some of the mixed media pieces. And they're not complicated. They just have some elements, and if you peel it back, you'll figure it out. And so when I was getting ready for this fundamental intro to mixed media, I started thinking, it's kind of like a salad bar. And this is kind of like my mixed media bar. And so if I thought about it that way, and I thought, because you get a bowl, that would be your canvas or your piece that you're going to work on, your base, if it's going to be something for an art journal or something for the wall, something for a layout, something for a card. You can even make mixed media on an 8.5 by 11 and make copies of it and sell it, or you can make mixed media on card size, take pictures of it, make copies of it, and give them for gifts. I mean, there's a lot of fun things you can do, but we have to get there first. So when you think of a salad bar, remember those when we used to go out in public and they had food out for everybody? Wow, what were we? We were living so dangerously, even with the sneeze guard. Anyway, you start at one end with the bowl, maybe a really big bowl, maybe a little bowl, but the bowl kind of determines and dictates how much you're going to put into that bowl. But you start layering it, putting the strata. They talk about stratification. That's a really fancy word. It just means you're going to layer it. And that's what you do with mixed media. So you put on some lettuce, maybe some papers, maybe some gesso, maybe some book pages, maybe some tissue paper, whatever you do for your lettuce layer. And then you start putting on some vegetables, because you could have a salad with just lettuce and carrots. But if you put in some more vegetables, beets and celery and onions and all that kind of stuff, you have a whole nother layer of interest for that salad. Same with your mixed media piece. You can start putting, so you have your papers, your gesso, your whatever your base is, and then you can start adding paints and pastes and stamps and stencils and all sorts of stuff. Then you go, if your bowl is big enough, you can go down a little bit farther and you can start adding the olives and the nuts and the cheese and the eggs and things like that. And so for that, you can start adding things like metallic flakes, foiling, alcohol markers, metallic, dye-based inks. You can do paints, you can do runny things, you can do sprays. There's so many things you can add depending on what you want in your salad or on your mixed media, and how much your bowl can hold. If you have a tiny little thing and you're just making a small piece, you're going to want to have less ingredients. You know what I mean? You don't want it, unless you want it to be really thick, a mixed media that's got bulk. Maybe that would be a thing too, 3D, but I think that's called sculpture. So I'm not doing sculpture. No, it's too 3D. And then we have the dressing on top of it. So then perhaps that's going to be the thing that unites the whole piece together. You're going to have it so it goes all over that salad. Good. Oh my gosh, ranch. I haven't had it in so long. But if you're going to have dressing, and then you're going to have croutons on top. So if you think of mixed media that way, let's just look at a piece of it here and see if we can make it into a salad. All right. I hope you're hanging with me on this. Oh, I think well, we're good. All right, so here we have the base. We have just some black cardstock here. Do you see that? No problem. Added a little bit. A second layer is going to be this craft paper. And I had an old photograph that I used for another layer. So you're just building up, building up, building up, just like you're going through a salad bar. Then I stuck some little leaves in there, so a little flower. You start adding the little interesting things to your salad. big things first, like the big pieces of meat or chicken or whatever, the big, all those bigger pieces like the bird. Did a little background on that bird with some, a lot of layers. That's what I'm trying to really say, is just think in layers. And it's not any, and those layers aren't just static either. Like say you put something on the first layer and then you go, oh, I need it on the top layer too. It's all systems go. Mixed media just means you're going to have more than one medium. That's it. And it's going to be mixed up. So if you have a salad with just lettuce, it's still a salad, but it's kind of boring. So if you have a salad with all this different stuff on it, it's getting more and more exciting and more delicious. And so it's the same kind of thing with mixed media. Couple things that you may already know if you've been here for a while that will help you is some of the ideas on choosing colors. Like analogous colors work super well on this because they're not going to get muddy. Complements work really well if you want something that's bright and bold and in your face. Like you'll often see a teal blue and an orange. That's a real common combination on paints. This guy, whoopsie, these two guys. You'll see those a lot, and then you'll see some metallic sprays and inks and different things like that to make it a little more edgy. But that's a real big one, or even these two. But if you do use complements, review those colors, and they can get muddy. So that's just a heads up. Here's one that it used analogous colors. Remember, that's like the yellows to the greens to the blues. And so none of these are going to be fighting each other. They're just all going to blend together and play nice. Anytime you're going to be the triadics that we're working with right now will give you something. We talked about that. It's not going to be harmonious feeling. It's going to have zing and pop and contrast. Let's just make something and we'll just pull it together, and I'll show you that it's just a matter of starting with a base. Here's a piece of black paper. I'm going to start here. And then on this one I added a book page, and then I put gesso on it. But I don't think I want to do that quite this time, but maybe. Instead, I think I'll come over here to this little thing that I got in the mail. What's that? It's a picture? No. This is a fun way to be able to use some of your dish too, your unfinished project dish. And you can use that for sure. You can do something. It's pretty much whatever you want to play with, which is good and bad, because it's good in that you already have stuff that you can use. It may be bad because it opens up so many possibilities. But at the same time, it's kind of like playing craft roulette, because you can do different layers with different thoughts and then start just putting together four ideas and start piecing it together for fun. A couple things that I think are helpful is they talk a lot about things that you don't probably need. If you have a paste, that's good. I think there's a lot of texture involved with this. I don't have any paste, mine all dried up. So, but you can get some paste and put it in there with some stencils and things like that, and you can use combs and whatever you have. But if you don't have anything like that, you don't have to. It's all fine. There's different ways to make texture, and you can find them. So I'm just going to break mine up into some interesting pieces for one. I'm going to move it off and just stick on some glue. This is one of those times you get to use the fat end of the glue, because I'm going to put a whole bunch on, but not so much that this sucker gets all. This one may not be the right one to use. He's been standing on his head for a while. This would be good too. You can do fun things. You can do a technique, mixed media. Good heavens. Do I have to open something? But you can do it's so cold in here. You can do mixed media techniques. You can do coffee stains, tea stains. You can use old pieces from mail. You can use old coffee filters, old tea bags, anything you have that you want to play with. That it depends on the look you want. If you want grungy look, that's all good stuff. If you want something that's vintage looking, you might want to clean that up a little bit. If you want something clean, you absolutely can do a clean look. You don't have to have a million things. You can have a small, oh, that's upside down. You can have a small watercolor with handwritten letter or message on it. There's usually, but it's all free form. There's usually some sort of focal point, and there is usually some sort of message. Usually. It's up to the artist, however. So, whatever that floats your boat, whatever it does, that's the one you're going to want to do. Okay, so if we start with something like that, then another thing that you can do is add paint. Well, I don't want 20, 30 colors of paint. So what I like to do, get my little craft mat out. By the way, I hated how it all curled, so I just cut it and put it on a piece of chipboard. It's not pretty, but it's functional. Let's go ahead and just use these two colors and see how it goes. We're gonna go ahead and stick some down here. I don't know if this will work. I've not tried this quite. Never stopped me. And I do have a water bottle somewhere. That's something that a lot of people use, is some kind of water. And instead of using a whole bunch of paints, I'm just going to use a white one. It will come out. And use the ink for the color. I've got a couple cheap little paint brushes here. I can always use re-inker if I want more color. Or I can add some more ink to the table and bring it in too. Just don't want to get it in that paint. That would not be so good. There we go. Same thing, you're going to do the visual triangle, because there's things that still work. But you can try other things. You don't have to do it this way. This is just it's so open. It's so open. It always looks like a creamsicle. I didn't put any gesso on this because I didn't think it was going to be so wet that it was going to start getting messy. I don't have any sprays either. That's another thing I do not have, so I have to go without that one. Want a little more saturation? You can do it. Same thing, if you put some re-inker in white craft paint, you can get all the colors that you have. Okay, that looks pretty good. Okay. Now the next thing is, we're going to leave those right there, but I'm going to dry it real fast. So there's usually some sort, you got to dry in between every layer. It's a real big no-no to rush this. If you stop a layer, if you go ahead and stamp on something like this, for instance, you're most likely going to get a kind of a bit of a mess, and that's no good. But here we have our triangles, right? We've got three fields of blue, 3 fields of orange. That should be pretty dry. It's a little wet. So we'll work on something else in the meantime. A lot of times too, they'll have letters on it, words on it, all sorts of different things. And we can start just laying that on there and playing with it. We don't have to, we can always cover it up. Okay. So I'm not going to do a huge fancy thing here right now, but we'll just start playing. And I encourage you to just start playing. It really is, it's really just an experience here. I've got a tool here. I'll make some edges on it. You can think of things and go ahead and Pinterest it or something, and you can find ideas and then you can try to replicate them. There's nothing wrong with that. You can always try some things like that and see how you do. And then you can step back and look at it and go, okay, well now where are the triangles? Where's the focal? Same kind of questions you ask about your own cards and your scrapbook pages and things. And sometimes it takes more than a time. So don't, this is, like I said, this is not something you're going to hurry through. We went contrasting here, but they're not bright, bright, bright. So, but what we can do is we can add some bright, bright, bright. Let's go ahead and just pull a butterfly. Butterflies are big. There are a lot of people use butterflies on mixed media. There's nothing that's right or wrong on it, but a lot of people use butterflies, so we'll go ahead and use some butterflies. And we'll just stamp over the little blue fields, and it's starting to pull together. There's the TT for butterfly. Who knew? Who knew? Who knew? I've got a couple more butterflies in this mix, so we'll get out a couple more. We can keep it with an odd number too on this. So we have 3 little butterflies. We'll add 2 little orange ones. Here we go. Another thing that they use a lot of in mixed media are stencils. So I pulled out one of my new stencils. And stencils can be, let's see, on this one. This one I stenciled in some charcoal because it gave it a little bit of weight. And then I also did it in the blue paint that matched these little blobs. And I did it in 3s. Same rules that you all have been following and learning. It doesn't mean that it's going to be static. This is not static looking. It's very interpretive. So I'm not even going to care if I get outside these particular things, and I'm not going to care if they're complete or not. They just want to be a hint of interest there. So we're going to do a lot of repetition of elements on these things if you look at them. So if you're looking at a salad bar, a lot of vegetables. Doesn't mean you have, you know, a lot of the same elements. You're going to have maybe 3 kinds of cheese or something like that, you know. You're going to have a lot of repetition on these kind of projects. And that makes it look very complicated, but it's not. It's a trick. It's a trick, I tell you. And I'm going to go ahead and, well, I'm going to use the other end. There's the charcoal end. Here's the other end. I'm going to see if I can just offset it a little bit and use some orange. Aren't you glad I said orange? It's just going to give texture. This would be a time if you had paste. A lot of people would use paste. I don't have paste. I had it. Thought I'd save it for good, and it died on me. After all that stuff, and use it. There we go. Okay, without making this a really big deal, I'm not going to do too much more, but I thought I would just add a little. Let's see if I can. Let's try something different. Let's do. I just put some paint there, so I'm going to just do some strips, a little bit of coloring, straight swink, edge swinking. Then we'll come back in and give it some diagonals of the same thing. One of my favorite things to do is take the edge of an ink pad and use it for a paintbrush. Whoops. No harm, no foul. But always in threes, using the visual triangle. If you like that look, I think it just gives it a good overall flow. This is, I think it could use a really nice, some sort of really nice something in the middle, but I'm not sure what. Let's bring this up to that butterfly's little. You can always use paint and come back then and give it the focal point some definition. Another thing that we can do on the focal point, get a black pen and give it a little interest. So if I think they're dry enough, I don't want to ruin a pen, so I think I'll use an old one. You can use embossing, you can use you can use geometrics, you can use anything you want. You just have to decide on some things to decide what your size of your bowl is going to be and how much it can withstand it. I mean, imagine making something like this that was a whole wall size paint, a whole wall size image or something. You could really go crazy. You could do a lot of different things and make it all work together too. You could do panels if you wanted to decorate a room. And it doesn't mean, and this is something you can do when you are comfortable with your, it doesn't matter if your hands are real good at doing little art projects like this or if you're new to it. Because whatever you do, it's going to stay consistent with your project. So the chance of it looking cohesive are quite high. Because it's going to look like your style. I think they'd be nice popped up a little bit. You can do a lot of 3D kind of stuff without getting too sculpture-y. But that's going to take too long for me tonight. Yeah, the paste does get dry. I think we talked about it at one point. How you can use glycerin, I think it was, to revitalize it, but I didn't feel like it. So I didn't love it enough. Now I'm doing this more, and it's kind of like, well, I kind of like it now, but okay, I've got some little cross hatches going on there, so we'll just put some paint jobby or some that on it. Sherry's got some paste on hand. That's all right. But, well, this will be a great month to be able to use it. So this is something using just the complements. Now you can always come back at this point then with a third color for more of a triadic look, even though I'm not really sure what. I don't think these are actually triadic, but we're going to add a little green. I don't know. I think I should probably do some, but we'll just add a little green. Just some pops. Just do some little blobs of it. Because you can do a lot of abstract-y type stuff. It's really fun that way. Just do some horizontals and some verticals. Just don't go all one direction unless you want that look. Kind of like this, a lot of the same lessons that we did when we did that canvas. A lot of times they'll have a verse. I don't know what I would do for a verse there, but a lot of times they will have a verse or just some words that are meaningful to the artist. And they do a lot of those on strips. which is something you can do. Here's a piece of book. That ought to settle, Scooter. That's what it says. To deliver your own papers. Your own papers. There's got to be something good in that. What would be a good saying? I don't know. Not with that. Let me think. Let's just do. I'm trying to think of what to say. I don't know. Email?
Hi, I'm Mary Gunn.
No.
Welcome to Fun University.
Okie doke. So we'll just use some of these strips of words and we'll make those our words. Oh, did I go back to hello? I don't want that. Let's just use some of this and then we'll be done. To deliver your own papers. Let's just say your own papers. That's a kind of a crafty thing to say. Your own papers. Is there anything over here then? That ought to be your own papers. You have your own papers. Well, I don't know. Oh, well, this is just, it's fun, Curly. Thank you. It's fun. It really doesn't need to be any harder than this. Just remember those just basic design rules and that you're doing layers. That's about it. 2 intros are better than 1. Oh, did I do a whole intro? Oh, bye. Okay, so here's some things you could come back, and I probably will come back and add. But you can do some metals, you can do some little die cuts, you can do some little flowers. Numbers are always really fun on these things, and putting them, kind of an old-fashioned number is always good. If you look at Tim Holtz and some of their tags and things, they're very, very mixed media. But look at them now with your eyes that you have right now as a salad. Look at all of Tim Holtz's mixed media tags as a salad, and see what you think. Eunice, yes. Eunice, I thought of some new things for you to say today. But so that's it. I think that's it. I think that'll get you started. Just think of it as a salad bar. This is your salad bar, your multimedia bar. Just think in layers. Put your bowl down, your base for your thing, whatever size it is, and then think about how you can layer it up. Use that visual triangle. Use the colors that you know analogous. They're going to be nice and soft. Contrasting ones, if you want, look for those. All these things that you have learned so much about, and you can go back and you can start dissecting all these things and figuring out how to do it. It's real fun. Take your time. This is not done. I will have to think of more things to add, but it's a blast. It's just a real fun thing. We'll do it again in crop, and I'm going to go ahead and stop. Thanks for listening to me, guys. I'll be right back. Don't leave.